What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Honest Tattooer podcast, brought to you by Tattoo Smart, Tattoo Pro, and Steadfast Tattoo Supplies. My name is Jon Mesa, and I'm joined by my co-host, Matt Truiano.
Hey, how you doing?
And our very special guest. What's up, Maggie?
Hi, how you doing, guys?
How
Thanks
you doing?
for having me.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, it's all
So, for those that don't know you, let them know your name, where you're from, how long you've been tattooing, and what kind of tattoos you do.
My name is Magie Serpica. Also, now I'm Maggie McGowan. I've been tattooing. This is my 24th year, and I am originally from Brooklyn. I started tattooing in Brooklyn, and then I kind of made my way to Staten Island, and I've been there for pretty much my entire tattoo career. And now I'm also in Jersey. So I kind of follow that pilgrimage of progression that is known to Brooklyn people. And basically, you know, when I started tattooing, it was a flash-based world, and there was no specialized or any of that. But I would say, I guess now I do a lot of like black and gray, sort of in the realm of fine line, a lot of floral pieces, things like that. But I mean, I've done everything. I've done everything for years. So, but I'm trying out the specialty notion.
What was your first year, would you say, like tattooing full-time?
Probably right in the beginning of 2002 was when I went like full-time really into it. But I started right before 9/11 working in a shop. And I don't want to really say it was an apprenticeship. It was kind of just like, hey, you can hang out here and watch us and we'll show you some things here and there, like that kind of deal. And yeah, but I've been around it my whole life, basically. So, you know, my dad used to like take me and my sister to kitchens of bikers and stuff like in the 80s. So it wasn't like a weird world for me to be in when it did happen. But yeah, I would say when I first started working at, I worked at Studio Enigma. That was my very first like official shop, I guess, in Staten Island. And that's really when I went to like the full-time mark of tattooing.
Cool.
I think you're the first person that ever mentioned Staten Island. Right?
Actually, we had some guys, I can't remember their names right now, but they came out from Staten Island. I don't remember if they were on the show, but they came out when Brian was here. You remember like my homie Brian from California? They came out with him. And
Brian was on the show?
Yeah, when Brian was on the show.
I don't remember.
Oh, man. That was already like at least a year ago. At least a year ago.
Brian, what's Brian's last name?
Brian Black.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian Black. So those guys were from Staten Island as well.
Oh, cool.
And he was doing a guest spot out there. I don't remember the name of the shop. Sorry, guys. But yeah, cool guys. So it was like, you know, super charismatic. I feel like everyone I've met from Staten Island is very charismatic.
Staten Island's a very interesting place. You know, there's people that don't consider it part, like one of the boroughs of New York City. It's kind of like an afterthought.
I can honestly say I don't think I've ever stepped foot in Staten Island.
Yeah, a lot of people say that. Yeah. There's a lot of like, you know, homegrown New Yorkers that have never been to Staten Island.
Yeah.
And honestly, until I started working there, I didn't really go there like ever either. So, you know, I had a purpose. And but I will say, like, you know, some people have like this weird notion of Staten Island, but there's a really great vibrant art scene. It's small, and you know, it exists in kind of like a little pocket, but it's awesome. There's some awesome music and a lot of tattoo shops now. When I first started, there was only probably like 5 or 6. But yeah, there's probably like 30
Oh,
now.
wow.
Yeah. And the island is not very big. It's only like 14 miles long at the biggest point of, you know, like at its big, it's like, I think it's like 14 by 7 miles. So it's pretty small in that sense, you know, so 30 shops is kind of a lot.
Yeah.
That's bigger than Manhattan though, isn't it?
That sounds like, yeah, that's the thing I thought. I was like, is that bigger than Manhattan?
Yeah, but Staten Island, so Manhattan is very like concentrated with people. Staten Island is actually called the Borough of Parks, so there's a lot of green. Yeah. It's beautiful. Like there's some amazing things that are there, but you have to like have a destination and know to go. It's not like, oh, I'm just gonna wander Staten Island.
Yeah.
Like there's no like public trans. I mean, there's one train line above ground that just goes like right through the middle of the island, and some buses. You know, yeah, it's interesting.
So you need a car there.
Pretty much, yeah. You need a car. When I started working there, though, I didn't have a car. I would do the bus thing. And at the time, like the buses stopped at like a certain hour. So it was like a mess, you know. And now there's the ferry and it's a lot more convenient. But
cool.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I was going to say, you need a car and a boat.
Yeah.
To get on and off the island.
I used to entice clients to come to Staten Island from Brooklyn or Manhattan. Because at the time, I don't think this is the case anymore, but you used to be able to drink on the ferry because it was like maritime law. So I would tell them like, it's kind of like a cruise. You get to, sip some beers on the way over.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it worked, but.
Yeah, so I started my career in Rockland County, and getting clients to come from Rockland to Manhattan was very difficult. And I'd say like 98% of my clients did not follow me.
I believe that.
Did you have a hard time trying to get people outside of Staten Island to come to you?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I was super young. Like, I was like 21 or, 22 when I started there. And so, it was like kind of like my high school friends. And then, and it was a street shop. So I didn't really like need to we were doing a lot of tattoos in a day. It was a very, very different world from what tattooing is now.
Yeah.
So I didn't really need to like entice a lot of people to come just to like be busy. And we were luckily like pretty busy. The shop had a reputation. It was huge in there. So, what I will say though, is that after working in Staten Island for several years, probably actually almost close to like maybe seven or 8 years at that point, I went to work in Greenpoint for tattooer Emma Griffiths. She actually used to have a shop right around here, Porcupine Tattoo on Rivington way back in the day. But then she closed up the Rivington spot and went to Greenpoint, and she was having her first kid, and she needed somebody to kind of like work in the shop with her and, kind of take over once she's out for maternity leave. So I went to Brooklyn, and I couldn't get anybody on Staten Island to leave the island to go to Brooklyn and get tattoos.
Brooklyn.
Yeah, it's so weird. I'm like, it's a bridge.
People don't want to leave, man. If they have to make any sort of commute that they're not used to making.
That's so true.
It's very, very difficult.
Yeah.
I was telling the guy the same thing. I was like, it's not that far. I think from where I was to where we are now, if you just drive from door to door, it's about 40 minutes.
40 minutes.
That's like nothing.
And people were like, nah, but it's Manhattan. I don't want to drive in the city. And it's like,
So
I'm afraid.
weird.
I'm scared.
I'm scared of the city city traffic. I think it's
super weird.
It's big too, just because like when you're, like when I tattooed in Westchester County in White Plains, which is kind of like also outside of the city, I had very few people that actually followed me into the city when I moved. And a lot of them did, but they were like, oh yeah, I'll drive. I don't have a problem. But the people that, same as what you're saying, like they were like, I don't want to have to deal with like the extra parking situation and the traffic and
all the tolls
and all the extra stuff.
I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest with you. It was kind of a blessing in disguise, because there were a lot of clients that I wish I just couldn't get rid of. And I did. And I had to start over. Which
I don't know how to break up with them.
Yeah. I had to start over, but I'm glad that I did, because I was able to like get a nice clean start fresh.
Yeah, that's really good. It's good. But every time that you move shops, it's going to be a new thing. And I think sometimes that's healthy.
Yeah.
Just a little button refresh.
Yeah, I'm kind of having that now, because I have a shop in Maplewood, New Jersey, and I get probably like maybe 40% of my Staten Island clientele that'll go to Jersey, because they see Jersey as like an extension of Staten Island. They're more aligned with New Jersey than they are with the rest of the 5 boroughs. And that's real. Like that, you can ask anywhere from Staten Island. They'll have no problem going to New Jersey, but I still have a bunch that won't travel. So, so I still do, days in Staten Island at my friend's shop. So.
Is that because, I mean, this is going to be so stereotypical, but is it because like the Staten Island bro and the Jersey Guido, like, are they like the same person?
they're like, eye to eye here. That's good.
It's interesting.
That's pretty funny. I really love the idea that back in the day, as being in a street shop, you could be extremely busy. And like I feel like the people that started tattooing in like 4 to 7 years ago are like not experiencing that at all.
They don't get it.
They don't get it. They're like,
yeah, it's a very different world. I mean, I've tried to tell this to younger tattooers that I know, like reminiscing, and you feel really old doing shit like that, but like explaining like this is like rack upon rack of flash that people would just like come in and sort through. And like, I remember specifically like not being able to convince anybody to get anything but what they saw on the walls. Like that was like the be all end all of designs. And no matter how many times I offered to redraw or let me like change that up, and
They're like, no, I like it just like that.
That was like, the highest level of art that you can get in some people's eyes,
Yeah.
Really, really weird.
Steadfast Tattoo Supply, owned and operated by professional working tattoo artist Frankie Porcelli, demanding top-performing materials, from the highest quality pigments and medical supplies, to tailor-made needles and cartridges with true line weights. Steadfast also specializes in custom machines built from scratch in-house and offers professional or group machine building seminars. Steadfast does everything to keep you and your clients covered. Steadfast, supplies that work as hard as you do.
I did the Philly convention a couple of weeks ago, right? I haven't done a convention since 2019, and that was the Inked Out, and it was not really that great,
Yeah.
But I haven't done Philly in about 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And I've done Philly probably like 5 or 6 times at least, but it's been a really long time. I didn't realize it had been 10 years. So I did it with my friend Ivan from Bullseye. Like him and I were like, let's just get a table and see what's what in tattooing, like we're kind of like the same age and, similar like background in tattooing and stuff. And so we get there on the Friday, right? And we're pretty much all set up, and they start making announcements about like, trying to hype up the artist before they let people in. And they're like, lines building outside, there's definitely a good 1,500 people online. It's, spilling around the block. And I just want to let everybody know that we got a great show. There's a lot of people, a lot of tattooers. We clocked in at 2,000 tattooers. And I'm like, holy fucking shit. Like he's saying it like a good thing. And I'm like, that's not something you should be announcing.
2,000 tattooers.
2,000 tattoos. There was over 1,000 booths and 2,000 tattooers. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is
what?
Like that immediately put me in like some kind of like head where I'm just like, what the hell? Like it was huge. And the last time I've done Philly, it was in the Philly Convention Center, but a different room.
Yeah.
On the first floor at like the other end of the block and way smaller. So 2,000 tattooers were there, right? And so we spent all of Friday and we didn't do a single tattoo. And we had a nice looking setup, and I had a lot of pre-drawn stuff with prices on it so that nobody had to actually like engage if they didn't want to. And we were like super cool, like, hey, we had candy, like, hey, come, how you doing?
Yeah.
All the things. And we had some printed photos, and like I had like a small little portfolio. Nobody gave a shit about my portfolio or Ivan's, who and he's great artist. And it was like, so Friday we didn't do a single thing. Like, okay, fine, first day, like we'll deal with this. The next day, it was jam-packed in there, and they announced that, I believe they said at the most amount of people, there were 40,000 people packed into this room. Jesus. Between tattooers and
attendance.
It was some crazy, it was like up there, like some crazy number. They said it was like record-breaking numbers of people ever to attend a convention that they've ever clocked. And between me and Ivan on Saturday, we collectively did 3 little tattoos. Oh, man. And then did absolutely nothing on Sunday.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was literally like, Saturday night, I was really like affected by this because a couple of things, right? So, there's me with my banner that says Magie Serpica, and Ivan, he does it under Cami Arts, and we have a cool setup. And then we're next to like, this probably helped like mess my mood up a bit, but we were next to like a cool shop, like really great artists, but they were from Philly. Yeah. So they had their people, then that makes them look busy, and then people are attracted to going there. Yeah. Then there's like us, and we had a corner spot. Like we had a great spot considering we were booth 657.
657
out of like 1,000 plus booths. And and I was literally Saturday night, I'm like, what else can I do in life? I can't tattoo anymore. It's done for me. Like I was in the worst head ever. Like really, truly, it really messed me up. And then all day Sunday, I'm like telling my friend, like, you know, half joking, but also half not, of like, I'm done. I quit tattooing. That's it. I'm too fucking old. Nobody cares. Like, you know, nobody gave a shit about my portfolio, and it could have just been like the worst shit ever. And they wouldn't have cared. It was so weird, because that was not the experience that I've had in Philly in the past, you know?
Yeah.
That weekend, were, besides the people who were from Philly right next to you, the other booths in the area, were they busy?
I walked around at one point to kind of like see what was going on.
Gauge the vibe.
Yeah. And it was like a lot were, a few were not, but a lot were. And then I was like trying to notice like the difference of like, what are we doing differently, and like really objectively assessing, you know, like, you know, I was getting to like logic brain of like, okay, what is different? Like where can we like improve? And, you know, and that's one thing that I've normally like taken from conventions, which I love, is seeing like, oh, wow, that looks really sick. I love the way they made their portfolio setup. All right, I got to like up my game. It's inspiring in a good way. You know, it fuels me. And I didn't get that, because I just kept thinking, yeah, there's 2,000 tattooers in here. Of course I'm not busy.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot of like, and then I started doing like math, like, okay, so we need at least 2,000 people in this room for every tattooer to do at least one tattoo.
One.
Like I started doing like math logistics to like rationalize what was going on. And yeah, it was an experience. Yeah. It took me a few days to recover.
I mean, when you think about it, you know, like that first day, and so like we have like, you know, 1,500 people, they said, outside.
Yeah, that was like right at the beginning, like like early on, like 2 o'clock on
like when
Friday.
they opened the doors.
Yeah.
When they opened the doors, 1,500 people, but like 1,500 people that go to a show. How many of those people actually go to get tattooed?
Half.
I'd say even less.
Probably less than that.
I'd say less than that. You know, like if you get that many people, like 1 or 2 people out of a group of 5 friends might get tattooed.
Yeah.
Yeah, or if it's like you're a couple, you're with your partner, right? Like, so that right there is 700 like sets, you know, 700 and change sets of people. And that's if they're like in twos. And then of those people, there's no way every single one of them out of each set is going to get, like, I started doing this like crazy like mental gymnastics math to
I think
figure it out.
A lot of times, like especially now when people go to conventions, they go because it's Saturday and
it's something to do.
It's something to do.
It's a thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. I think that is what it was. And, you know, I will say every person I spoke to, which was a lot of people, they all had similar comments. Like a lot of people were like, wow, this is so big. It's very overwhelming. That overwhelming was the word I heard the most. So like how do you even decide who to go to? Like you just keep going and keep moving until you like.
Too many options.
Too many options.
Too many options. They're just like, well, like I like this piece of flash, but we just started walking. We have like, 399 left to go. Let's keep looking. And I mean, like, how could you remember anything that you
can't.
They're like, oh, that was really cool. What booth was that? I really like that one drawing.
Exactly.
We're going to go back.
I wonder, man, if let's say somebody just goes there to hang out, they're not getting tattooed, but they do want to look through everybody's portfolio. If they even can they get through everybody's portfolio
and then make a choice?
No, not even make a choice. I'm just saying, like, do they have enough time in the day to actually walk through and look at 2,000 people's portfolio?
Sheesh.
Probably not.
No way.
Not.
And then I noticed that a lot of people didn't even have portfolios out. I guess these are people who have done a bunch of conventions recently and figured like no one looks anyway. There's no point of wasting table space with a portfolio. Some had like a QR code, just like, scan this if you want to go to like my Instagram or whatever. Right. Smart, totally. I get that. But we didn't even like have a book. We printed out pictures and put them in these like plastic like stand-up things and enlarged, just so they can get like an idea of like, only a few, like maybe like 5.
Just to draw them in a little bit.
Yeah, just to see like more, what style they'd even be like coming into, And yeah, it was wild experience. Like I was like in my head, like, that's it. Tattooing's over, and everybody had like a cool tattoo name and I'm just here using my regular name. Like,
you have a cool name though.
Yeah, but like, it was one of those like weird things where I was like, spiraling and like so as a result of that I spent all day Sunday, and then Sunday was a really big football game for Philly, right? And that's the game that like they won to get them into the Super Bowl,
the
right?
Super Bowl.
Yeah. So nobody was there on Sunday.
Everybody was on the game.
Everybody went to the game. And so literally, like, I even did, like, I hate to even say that I did this, but at one point I even printed out football shit. I don't even know about football, but I'm like the logo of the Philly team.
Get some Eagles.
I'm like, $100 if you get this. Like, literally put that on the table.
Yeah. Nothing. Oh.
And yeah, so I was like, I did notice that a lot of people had like these like cool sounding names. So I started thinking like, okay, I spent all day Sunday with my friend Ivan, and I like, him basically like trying to talk me out of quitting tattooing, which I was like, in the moment, I was like, I'm fucking done. What else can I do in life? What am I skilled at?
Yeah.
Like, it was really like, I was having a moment, and then he was like, don't stop. Just why don't we like, let's look at you personally. Like, let me help you clean up your Instagram. Like, I mean, we made it purposeful. So I like streamlined my Instagram to be a little bit more like, specific style, getting things out that didn't really kind of fit what I'm trying to do more of and stuff like that. Right. So great. Like that, I felt really like good about that move. And then I started thinking like, well, that sucks because I really like to do other things, and that's going to like conflict with this approach of, specialize.
The curation of a page kind of, it's so limiting.
It's limiting, right?
It's limiting. It's like, you do want to be able to, because like, I love tattooing. No matter what I'm tattooing, I still love to do it.
I'm right there with you.
So it's like, but at the same time, people, they're looking for that.
Yep.
Oh, that person does this really, really well. That's why I like them,
Honest Tattooer is also brought to you by Tattoo Armor. Literally the best way to wrap your client at the end of the day. No mess, no adhesives, and they are super comfortable. You can try it for yourself by going to tattooarmorusa.com. They were able to hook us up with a 20% discount for our followers. Just use the code Honest Tattooer on your next order.
So after that, I started thinking about this plan that, I was texting with Victor from Bullseye, and I was like, hey, I really need to talk to you about this. Cause like, we come from like the same world of tattooing. So it's like, I needed somebody like that to kind of like express this to. Mm-hmm. And then when we had a phone call, like we were like texting a bit, and basically I came up with this idea, and I was like, all right, this is either really, really smart or like the dumbest idea that I've had ever. Right. I'm going to create like a pseudonym, like a fake, like a persona, like a different name.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do like pump my mic's doing. Yeah, I'm going to pump that full of American traditional.
Yeah.
And I'm going to see if I can get a whole separate thing going. And so I've been doing that for the last 2 weeks, and I've been getting like a ton of people.
That's incredible.
And like, I'm sharing it on my shop page, like,
we got this new artist in town.
Yeah. Like so I'm really like meticulous about how I talk about, like, I'm not saying a new artist, cause I don't want to lie to people. Like, I'm not trying to make it like this big secret, but I'm not advertising that it's me either, So I'm like, go follow Ghostwood Tattooer. And like I was just saying, like, some people have messaged me and been like, is that you? I'm like, yeah, it's me, like, I'm not going to lie. But I'm getting like new people coming in for a totally different style of what you see on my regular Instagram.
So I think that has to do so much with algorithms, right?
Yeah.
So once you train an algorithm that this is what you make, it's easier for it to put you in the box of people that like that.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's, the people that love traditional tattoos, their Instagram is full of it, right? They're just being sent to them. So once you have like in your page now, like your old page where you had more variety, Instagram goes, I don't know who to show this to. I don't know who to put this in.
Yeah, that's what my friends were saying about, like, streamline this down to one thing. And then I did that. And then it was like the idea of not getting to do other things really bothered me. That's why I created this other thing. And yeah, I've done like maybe like 5 American traditional pieces in the last like week and a half after not doing that for a really, really long time. And it's showing up on like people's like For You page and on threads. And it's really interesting. It's like kind of like a social experiment that I'm doing at the same time.
So I'll tell you something about what you're doing. And it reminds me of something that the restaurant industry started doing around COVID. And it's creating a ghost kitchen. So a ghost kitchen is pretty much what like a restaurant, let's say I have the ingredients to make more than the dishes. Let's say if I'm making just Mexican food, but I have all these ingredients and I can make other food, then I would just start another like Grubhub restaurant with a new name, selling a different kind of food. And
Smart.
it's still made in the same restaurant.
Wow.
And then they just pick it up and deliver it to you. And it's delivery and delivery only. And
That's awesome.
And it's all the same kind of idea of like,
Yeah.
oh man, I can make so much more than what I'm, classified in. So I'm going to just create a different kind of
Just for takeout.
alter ego for takeout for this different kind of like style of food that we can still make in
really
this
smart.
kitchen. So then there were like a lot of restaurants that had like 5 or 6 phones, because one is the Thai, one's the Japanese, one, it's like, and they're like, and then they're doing it all in that kitchen. So they were able to, a lot of restaurants survived because that's what they did during COVID. So I think maybe tattooers,
right?
if we're going
that's what I'm
through
saying.
our-
This is either a really genius idea or like really dumb. Time will tell. I'll update you in like a year. Like,
I can't see
you know?
anything bad about it
No.
at all.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, the only negative I see right now is that I have to put the effort into 2 social medias like that. And
That's the work.
That's annoying,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so far so good. So it's pretty cool. And, I learned that like somebody was telling me that writers do this apparently all the time, that they always they'll write like different genres of, of stuff under a different name. And sometimes people will figure out it's them and sometimes it won't. Like apparently Stephen King did that and, some other known writers. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'm onto something. We'll see.
I like this idea a lot better than just having a page and then completely changing your style altogether. Like I've seen a couple of people do that before. Like, oh, I used to be a traditional guy and now I'm doing Japanese and like just completely starting all over from scratch.
Yeah, it's tough.
I'd rather somebody just do what you're doing.
And then I get to have like the cool tattoo sounding name that's not my name, like all the things, So yeah, I think it's gonna work. We'll see.
Cool.
So like Philly, I guess in that sense, as much as it sucked, it like got me to this point. If I didn't go there, I don't think I'd be doing this, and I don't think I would have like cleaned up my social media with the same kind of like urgency and. I definitely would not be here doing this like little experiment that I'm doing and seeing how it works if it wasn't for the bad experience of Philly. Like if Philly had gone good, I don't think I would have done that. So I'm trying to kind of like reframe the whole experience. It's, I was really upset that whole weekend, but you know what? Ultimately, maybe it's a positive, hopefully we'll see.
So I know that Philly is successful and people go back. I mean, if they didn't, then they wouldn't keep doing it every year. But I've never heard an artist be like, oh man, Philly was great. I loved it. Right?
I mean, if you would have asked me years and years ago when I used to do it, I'd tell you like, oh, Philly was great. And I loved it because I would always have a good time, after the convention. They have great bars, great scene to just go out, hang out, have a good time. And then I would always tattoo. That's one thing I got lucky and I would always, have tattoos. And since it was one of those things where if you went every year, you could probably get the people that you tattooed the year back because they would never drive to New York to get tattooed by me, but they're like, oh, I'll get tattooed by you next year when you come to Philly.
Yeah. I probably haven't done Philly in about 10 years also, but I did it every year for a couple of years. And every year I noticed it got a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
And then
Same.
a little bit bigger. And then I stopped
Then a
going.
lot of bit bigger.
And then, it just kept growing. And all I hear are people complaining about it's just too big.
Yeah,
Way too big.
Exactly. No, it's tremendous. Like I did Philly back when it was in the Sheraton Hotel and it was like really small. And
That
they
was
had, like,
great.
That was great. And, you know, I will say though, like the vibe of like the tattooers, like everybody was super cool and it was like a good like vibe amongst like tattooers, but it was just really overwhelming. And the other thing is like, I used to like walk around and be like, oh shit, hey, how you doing? I knew like a few people there and I was like, oh my God, I'm so out of the loop. Like I don't know anybody. Like what is happening?
I just thought of a funny story that I wish Richie Bulldog was here right now because you just mentioned the Sheraton Hotel. I was supposed to meet Richie at the Sheraton in Philadelphia. I don't even remember what year this was, but it was when he was doing that So Tattooed like interview.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, dude, come down to Philly. We'll do an interview with you. We'll make a whole nice video. So I got in the car, me and Nicole, we drove down to Philly and we were walking around and he wasn't even there. So we walked around for like an hour looking for him. I was like so pissed off, like, fuck this guy.
Yeah, those are the good old days. Sheraton Hotel Philly convention. It was like one big party because everybody like stayed in the rooms upstairs.
Yeah, it was a great
fun.
time. Like, you know,
Yeah, it was super fun.
mid convention, you know, you just like, I'm going to go upstairs. There's a bunch of people probably hanging out. Like, you come back down, work some more. It was good times.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good times. I missed that. But I don't know. Like, I'm kind of on the fence. Like, if you ask me now, would I do Philly again? I'm going to say no, but that might change. Totally subject to change. And I've been talking to a bunch of tattooers I know and like being like, hey, what's the deal with this? Like, has anybody experienced this? And a lot of people are saying that like, it's a lot of that like extra work that like, you know, you don't think you need to do, or I didn't. It was out of my realm of thinking I needed to like book people ahead of time. But apparently there's like, I don't know if it's on the Philly website, but there are message boards of people posting like what they're looking for. And you have to kind of like jump on it and be like, hey, I do that. Or just like announce like you're an artist and you have availability and who wants it. So a lot of people did that. And I learned that now that like that's kind of key for a lot of people getting themselves booked ahead of time, you know? But like, it's just so different from the way conventions were for me. It was like an eye opener. I was like, oh wow, okay, world's very different. Got it. You know, like I did Vegas one year. I don't know a single person in Vegas and I was booked up before I even went to Vegas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was really weird. So I guess I had like old convention memories in my brain, like coming to this one, and not quite the same experience at all. So
you haven't done Philly in a long time since before this, but you did other conventions leading up to this, or has it been a while?
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while. I would say, other than Inked Out, which, you know, it's just like, I don't love that convention. You know, it's kind of like, you know, they started like bouncy houses, and literally they had bouncy houses there.
Man,
I love bouncy houses.
I mean, if it's for us, but it's not, you know, like, you know, we like,
for
and
kids.
the last time I did that convention, my booth was sandwiched in between a home improvement company that was selling siding.
No way.
And
dude.
then on this side, it was another company selling windows.
No way, dude.
Oh my God.
And you were in the middle
I
of
was
that.
in the middle of that.
Wow.
Oh, no way.
Oh,
that's wild. Okay. You know, my problem with the bouncy houses is that like that year, I remember the year they did the bouncy house, like for the first time, it was like kids, just tons of kids taking stickers. I'm like, these fucking things cost money, not for you to put on your lunchbox, little kid, you know? So then the next year we did it. And at the shop I had, we had this great idea that we were going to get stuff that was not kid friendly at our table. So we made, we got these like all rainbow assorted condoms and we put our shop sticker on them that fit perfectly. And we're like, all right, let the kids take those. And like they would, the parents would be like, no, not that.
Oh, that's so good,
smart.
actually. That's actually pretty smart. I just saw envision a kid. I was like, oh, look, Mom, they have free bubble gum here.
That was kind of our thought.
It's like, oh, that's so good. That's funny. But man, that when we did the Orlando convention, that cracked me up because every time there's stickers out there, it's without fail. There's going to be a kid that comes through. He grabs a handful, like 10 of them.
Yeah, I hate
just
that.
Throws them in a bag. And then every now and then you'll get a parent that'll be like, wait, just take one.
Yeah.
But sometimes they're not paying attention.
No, they're not paying attention. And they're like grubby little kid hands are like taking everything off the table. Even cards, like they're like collecting them like it's Pokemon or something. Like,
yeah.
like I have kids and I get it, you know, like they want to touch it, but I also don't think I would bring my kids to a tattoo convention at that
This
like
is my
little.
business.
I was going to ask you that. How do you feel about kids at a convention?
I don't love that. It's weird. I mean, I don't know. It's weird. It's just because of that. Like, what are you going to do? You know that those people are probably not going to get tattooed if they have their kids with them.
Yeah.
Since like the novelty of getting the kids to see it. I don't know. It's weird. I haven't really kind of thought of that because I live in both worlds of like, absolutely not, but I also have kids, you know, and I had my first kid super young and she'd be like in the shop with me at times, you know, like sit over there and be good while I work, you know? So I get that, like, you know, you got to bring your kids places, but like, no, I don't want you stealing my stickers. That should cost money. Hell no. You
Yeah,
know?
the thing about conventions with kids is like sometimes crazy shit's happening.
Yeah.
You know, somebody's getting tattooed somewhere.
Just even
very
suspensions,
private,
like
suspensions
like-
and just wild acts and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
weird.
That's when it can get weird. But I do kind of like to expose kids to seeing people get tattooed,
Yeah.
to art. I think there's such huge value in exposing children to art.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, like
Totally.
it's something that it's inspiring, especially when, you know, just take your kid to like a great museum. You know, you see their eyes be like, whoa, this is incredible. You know, and I feel like that's inspiring. And the more you bring your kids around inspiring things, the more their brain just goes, can just
Agreed. And that's why I live in both worlds with it. It's like I have kids. I completely get it. You know, you want to give them culture and stuff, you know,
Yeah.
but it's not really that convenient when you're on the like working side of it, you know. It's
for sure.
you know, that's why it's tough. I don't know. I haven't really formed.
Maybe just don't bring your kid down the aisle that has the dildos and the fetish stuff and the boots.
You know, it was super weird at Philly. There was a seminar for learning how to use coils.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, there was a learn how to tattoo with coils seminar.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
Who was doing that?
Annette LaRue. So it was definitely like, you know, the right person.
Yeah.
Like, you know, old time tattooer, like she's great. But like that just kind of blew my mind too. I was like, what? Like this is a seminar? Like
How to tat
it.
with coil machines.
yeah, really weird.
She's like, back in my day.
So weird. Okay, like that's interesting. I've had this discussion with tattooers. I don't know like how people feel about it. Like, what do you guys think? Like having an apprentice, right? If you don't use coils, if you're a tattooer who just strictly uses like pen machines, do you make them start on coils to like learn the foundations, or do you just go right to like the tool that you're using now?
I would feel that in order for me to teach someone properly, it would be in both of our best interests to teach them what I'm using. So if I'm only using rotaries, I'm not going to teach the guy how to use a coil and he can't see what I'm doing. Right.
Right.
So I would say if you're a rotary tattooer teaching somebody, let them learn with the rotary.
Yeah, I know people on both sides of that fence though that say, no, you're going to learn coils first and then we'll go to the other thing.
So I think that you should learn to line with coils. Not necessarily shade with coils, but you should learn to do lines. Nice, crispy, straight lines with coils. Because once you get a nice, sweet rotary, you're like, this is so much lighter. And I can just pull this thing. I don't have to think about so much. And most of all, you got to like really learn. Like, I feel like learning depth control with a coil machine is easier than with a rotary. Because you have that feedback, you can hear it, you can see it in the back of the coil machine, you like how it's moving, and I feel like there's so much more feedback, and I feel like that's something that, like, learning that how to sense that feedback is something that a lot of tattooers that work with rotaries from the go are missing. And
Don't you think though that if you're a big part of being an apprentice is watching,
yeah,
right? So if the apprentice can't watch you pull those lines with the coil because you don't use a coil, aren't they missing out on like half of the lesson?
Well, that's where I'm talking about. Like in the very beginning, let's say you're going to have your apprentice start, you know, pulling lines on practice skin, not on people, just practice skin, you know. And something that my mentor did when I started was like, he had me like just fill like multiple practice skins with just straight lines all day.
Yeah.
Because it was just about muscle memory, about getting used to pulling a line over and over and over. It's more about like, I don't even want them to draw anything. Like, it's not about drawing. It's about like just do that over and over until it's just the repetition. You know, it's like just do it over and over and over. And then later, if he's going to do a full design, maybe he can do that with like a shader machine that's like a full pen, you know? But when you're doing just, it's like the difference between like lifting weights or training for a sport than actually playing the sport, you know? So it's like if it's just really early on, just the repetition of controlling the machine and stuff like that, just so they can start learning that. But then later they can use better machines, especially in the beginning. Like it was notorious for your mentor to give you a really shitty machine to start with. They're like, no, you're not going to get a good machine. You're going to get the shitty one and you're going to tinker with it so you can like start figuring out where's that sweet spot for you. Cause I think that changes for people of like where they like to tattoo. Some people like to tattoo like right off the tip. Some people like to bury it a little bit and find that like in between. And that the way that you know how that feels is based on just that feedback. But I feel like once you're doing it with like a pen machine is really hard. Even just with like a rotary, but still in a needle bar and tube, has more feedback than just a cartridge machine.
Yeah, there's like a visual understanding of what's happening, right? Where like a pen, it's all inside, it's encased, you can't see anything. But like, I feel like with that becomes like, now you have to now learn how to like tune your coil machines and how to, you know, adjust them and all these other, like, it's like a whole other world,
so much
you know?
more, yeah.
There's so much more. I don't know. I haven't really decided. I like to ask tattooers that, like, just to know, like, what do you feel about that? You know, because
it comes down, I think it comes down to how much time do you have devoted to teaching the apprentice, right? Like all you're worried about is I want this tattoo. I want this apprentice to be a good tattooer.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm going to teach him how to be a good tattooer, make good art. Then fuck it. Who cares about the coil? Right?
Yeah.
But if you want your apprentice to kind of carry on your legacy and have it be like, oh man, I learned from this guy and I know all this stuff like machine theory and how to tune a machine because of this guy taught me how to do all that, then you want to pass that knowledge down also.
Yeah.
It depends on what you care about.
That's kind of true, I think. And I think what I would do is like teach them on what I'm using, which right now is pen machines, but have like eventually like break out the coils, break out, you know, all that old stuff and like really like once they kind of have an understanding of what they're doing and then make them kind of do that. And I don't think I would like start on that, you know, because it feels like really like there would be like a disconnect from like what you were saying, like showing them what you're doing currently. Like how would that translate if I'm not using those things, you know, like it's an interesting approach of, you know, or you just go to the Philly convention and take a coil seminar.
But I think like the mechanic's still pretty much the same, whether I'm using a coil, a pen, or, you know, a rear rotary, the mechanic is still just the same. It's just the variables are like this, my hand speed might be a little bit different, but I'm still like doing the basic of stretch that skin really well, hold that hand really steady and pull that thing towards you most of the time. Like, you know, very rarely will I go like a line like that. Like,
See that? I mean, that's where at least I differ because even with like my Dan Cuban, I could pull a line in any direction and it'll go in just as good. But if I'm trying to line with a pen, I can only move in one direction for a nice solid line.
Yeah, I used a Dan Cuban the other day, actually, for the first time, like using anything other than a pen style machine in a while, years. And I was like, oh, I feel like a real artist. I was like, this thing is great. This is nice. You know, it was awesome. So, yeah.
Yeah, those are fun machines to tattoo with. But, I mean, lately I changed, man, I have a cord again.
Yeah, John's plugged in now.
I'm plugged in. I have a power supply and a cord. I feel like a true tatter. Except it's like it's still a rotary, and it's still cartridges, but it has like feels different.
I thought I'd never see the day that you went back to being all corded up.
This machine's been rocking.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I hope it stays that way.
Yeah, I've been exploring the idea of, especially if I'm going to do more like, actually not even if I'm going to do more American traditional, but like because a lot of those like rotaries, you can get a really great, like a nice stipple, you know, and you have a little more control over it. So I like that idea, even though it's like, I swore off ever, you know, using anything with a wire, but now I'm kind of like, oh, I kind of like this.
That's
you know,
that's how I was feeling.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, let me just try this. Then I was like, oh, this is actually really good.
it's really good.
I need this now. Fuck.
Yeah, especially when you do so many tattoos with like a pen machine, and you know its limitations, you know, and then you use that, you throw that in the mix, and you're like, oh, whoa, okay, this is kind of, I see what I'm missing. Got it. You know, so yeah, I've been exploring what my next one is going to be. Yeah, apparently some of the guys at the shop in Bullseye use an Uncle Roy, and I've never used that yet, but that's on my list of ones to try out next.
Nice.
Yeah. One of the cool things about being able to work in a shop that's not just like, you know, my shop in Jersey is just me. But when I get to go to Staten Island, there's like 10 tattooers there, and somebody has something that you'd want to try.
New,
Yeah, it's really cool. So yeah, we get to like share knowledge. It's fun.
About a year ago, I sold off a good chunk of my stash.
Wow, really?
And I honestly,
I never think about it.
I don't think about it, and I don't even remember what I have left. Like, the machines that I had, I put in a box, put it under my station. They're there, but I don't know what's in there.
Man, I have some stuff. I want to sell it. If anybody wants it, just send me a DM. I'll show you what I got. Buy it.
The reason why I was saying that is because I'm thinking like, oh, it would be cool to kind of like whip out a coil and start shading with it. I don't even think I have a decent enough coil to do that with anymore. I think I might just have parts. Or like
you should try my lefty.
Yeah, we talked about this. I don't like lefty machines.
That's true.
But your lefty has the frame on the right hand side.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe that'll be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's full lefty, not just the little, you know, the thing.
Yeah.
Are you lefty?
I'm not.
You're not. Okay,
no,
you're just
but
using
it's a
lefty
beautiful machine.
Okay.
And somebody just gave it to me.
Oh, cool.
Because
Okay.
I just thought it was a great looking machine. They were like, I can't tattoo with this. This is too much. Do you want it? I was like, yeah, I'll take it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful machine. It's badass.
Actually, now that we're saying this, I do remember in my box, I've got 2 left-handed time machines. I spray painted one of them bright orange. So ugly.
The Tide.
I found recently my very, very first tattoo machine ever, and I want to put it in a little like shadow box, like, and put it on display. It's like an old National machine with like these like rainbow gold wraps on the coils. And
There's a swing gate.
no, I don't remember what. Let me think. Like, oh, actually, I got 2 of them, and I don't know where the other one is, but the guy, like, so one of the guys at the shop, I was saying it wasn't an official apprenticeship, but this one dude, one was set for like a liner, one was set for a shader, and he basically took an Allen key, took them all apart, mixed all the pieces together, and was like, put these back together, and then I will tell you if you can tattoo. Like, I'll like guide you through a tattoo. I was like, okay, and like, you know, pre-internet, there's no Google, you know, and I had to like really fuck with these machines and like get them to. He's like, I want to hear it sound good and all this stuff, and eventually, like, I think it took me like a week of just like tinkering constant, you know, and yeah, and then eventually he was like, okay, cool, so slap a stencil on yourself and I'll watch you do it and kind of tell you if you're doing it right. I was like, damn, I didn't know that was at the end of this, like, do it on yourself, you know. But yeah, but I found that machine, and so I have that memory with it, and it's pretty cool. So
That's fun.
Yeah.
Fun. Honest Tattooer is brought to you by Tattoo Smart. They offer digital design tools for the professional tattooer, helping you save time and make your clients happy. Make sure to check out some of their best sellers, the Spit Shade set, the Needle set, advanced 3D body parts, and one of my personal favorites, the Snake Kit. With a vast collection of ready-to-use Procreate flash stamps in a range of styles, including neo-traditional, ornamental, illustrative, Japanese, floral, and more. Listeners can use code HONEST20 at checkout to save 20% on any Tattoo Smart order. Let's talk about something that we saw today. We talked about it a little bit earlier. So I don't know if you guys saw, but Pete Davidson erased like all of his tattoos. And they posted some pictures online of him wearing very little clothes. So you could kind of see that he took them like off.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, I took off my right arm, and that took like at least like 8 sessions.
Wow.
Maybe a little more, you know, and time in between with just like letting it really, really heal to get it to be like clear.
Now, was it like, if you didn't have that covered over the laser,
Yeah,
would you be able to tell if
No.
it was completely empty.
Completely empty. I could
Wow.
like probably find a photo and show it to you.
Wow.
Of what my arm looked like when it was like just bare. I just had a bare arm, and it looked weird because I was like, I had my full torso, my back started, my left arm was fully covered, and I just had this clean arm, and everybody like, dude, in my hand tattooed.
And there were no remnants of the ink there, really?
No,
Wow,
everything
that's
was
interesting.
gone.
This is why I was unconvinced of the pictures of Pete Davidson, because
Yeah.
there's no remnants
Nothing.
of anything
So
at all.
actually, if you zoom in,
You can kinda
you
see,
can
like, a
see a little bit of the remnants of it. Yeah, if you zoom in, you can see a little bit of the remnants of it,
I was questioning if there was a lot of makeup on him also.
and maybe a little
Probably
makeup,
that, yeah.
But I don't really think so, because then it would have been even less of it.
You know what's funny is, yes, the tattoos removed make him look younger, but even his face, like he has like a baby face now, and I don't know what that's all about. Like he doesn't look chiseled like he was in the previous photos.
I think he's just maybe a little healthier.
I think he's
that what it
healthier.
is?
I'm going to go with that
he's
too.
a
Yeah.
little healthier, eating a little better. You know, he doesn't have the
Yeah. The
Yeah.
sunken
the
in
sunken
look.
in face. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah, I put on, it's funny you brought up Pete Davidson. I put on my Instagram last night.
talking about Staten Island. Let's talk about
Yeah.
Pete Davidson.
Yeah, so there was like that news art, you know, like
Yeah.
that where you see like the side by side. So I shared that, and I was like, in honor of Pete Davidson getting all his tattoos removed, if anybody wants any of the tattoos that he had, I'll do them for half off. Like a joke, but like if you look at them, they're all like Flash or Pinterest tattoos. They're
Yeah.
so funny.
John and I did a bunch of those.
So yeah, I
Yeah,
did a bunch
so
of tattoos
funny.
on him. So like, I actually did a few pretty big tattoos on him. So I did like a half sleeve that it's actually like it was like a based off a statue that's on the fireman's like memorial.
Oh,
from
right.
9/11.
Okay. Yeah.
That was pretty big. It was like the full like shoulder to elbow.
Yeah, that
half
wasn't
sleeve.
in the like I couldn't see that, but it was like there were these really funny ones like Bada Bing.
The one in his torso.
Goon.
Like in his torso.
Yes,
he just
like
tried to
in-
filling it up.
Yeah.
Because like torso tattoos hurt. So like he wanted
Yeah.
to get covered. So instead of just getting one big one, he would just get
A bunch of little
a
ones.
bunch of little ones.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
But he would do, like, at least when I was tattooing him, I did a lot of like the little ones on him.
Really? Oh,
And
that's
he
amazing.
He would get a few of them at a time.
That's so
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, he just get a few bangers, and most of the time he didn't even know what he want.
Nah.
He'd be like, let's figure it out. I don't know.
He would text me early in the day, and he'd be like, "Oh, yo, can you come tattoo me tonight?" I'm like, I guess. Like, I'm not gonna say no to you.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you want? He's like, I don't know. We'll figure it out. Like, come on,
Yeah,
man.
dude.
And then like, I would have to show up to wherever he is. No printer, no stencil machine, no nothing. And I have to
Yeah.
like, come up with something on the
Like
fly.
figure it out
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah,
Oh my
just,
god.
let's figure it out.
But they were like, I zoomed in on some, and I'm like,
That's why they look so shitty too, is because of that reason.
That's so funny. Like, but a lot of them I've like, oh, I've done that tattoo like 5 times, like a little lotus with like some dots coming off, or like, you know, silhouetted tree. I'm like, yeah, I've done that like 6 or 7 times. Like, you know, like I've done a lot of them, and I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen where that tattoo is from. Like that's on Pinterest, and like a couple of them were like, no, but then there was some like really funny ones, you know, and of course like. My friends that will get silly shit all like message me and were like, oh my God, I'm going to get the Bada Bing and I'm going to get this.
Yeah.
I was like, that's hilarious. Like,
Who did the unicorn on him?
Man, I know this guy's name, but I'm blanking out on it.
I remember when he told me that he got that tattoo.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, what the hell, man? Like, you're asking me to do all these little shitty tattoos, and then
You get a
go
cool
get this
idea,
cool
yeah.
tattoo,
Right.
yeah, and you spend hours
not
doing
by
it.
you.
And that was the kicker too. Is like I would do like these little 10-minute bangers on him, if that 10 minutes, and then he would be hurting. Like he would have numbing cream on him.
Yeah.
Like by the end of like minute 3, he'd be like in pain,
my God,
and then
that's-
he would go get like this 8-hour tattoo from this other guy. What the fuck, dude?
I like did a huge rib tattoo on him in like a hotel room table, like super uncomfortable. Like I swear, I'm glad I was younger. 'Cause my back would be killing me right now.
Yeah, you'd be feeling it.
Yeah. But it was like that. It was kind of like, you know, but that's, you know, somebody asked me about like, oh, do you like tattooing celebrities? And I'm like, honestly, no. No, I've never really said, oh, this was amazing.
Because they never come to the shop. Like you have to
Yeah.
accommodate their time, their space.
Yeah.
And it's never a good time or a good space.
Yeah.
Never.
Like the thought is my comfort, my privacy, not the quality of what you can perform of your job, you know, like, oh yeah, just, you can do this, right? Under the worst conditions ever. You're like, I'll try
Yeah,
my
same
best.
thing. So I did the the huge lettering, the belly rocker on him. So
The Shaolin. Oh my god, I
Shaolin.
love that one.
I did that.
You did that?
I did that in a
That's
hotel room.
amazing.
And when he told me, he was like, yeah, come meet me in the hotel room, in Midtown. I'm thinking we're going to be like in this like awesome penthouse. Like
Like a nice little.
the room was really, really tiny. And he was laying on like this day bed that was way too small for
Oh
him.
my God.
And I was on the floor
Oh
because he was
my
so
God.
low down. It was
Yeah.
tough.
It was tough, man. That's like tough shit.
Sounds so awful.
And then
That sounds
tattoo his stomach
awful.
on top of all that too.
Yeah, like stomach is the worst spot to do anyway. Like,
I got lucky
wow.
that a lot, in the beginning when I first started tattooing Pete, he was still comfortable with coming
yeah.
to the shop. And he would just show up to the shop, come out, get tattooed. And I got to do like some cool pieces there, like the fireman memorial, a cover up of some old tattoos that he had. I did like a forest with a wolf and stuff like that. And then I got to do like a Hillary Clinton tattoo on him that was like all
Okay.
over the news in that moment in time. And then I got to do like a Ruth Bader Ginsburg
Oh, I saw
little
that one.
portrait
Yeah,
on
yeah,
his
yeah.
shoulder.
Oh, that's awesome.
What else? A bunch of other little small things.
Yeah.
The small ones, they're like, some boxing gloves on his ribs.
That's so funny that because I literally posted that last night. Like,
Yeah.
and now it's like kind of come full circle to today. Like you guys did all the
Yeah, I know. He tattooed this guy.
Who did you didn't do that shark on him though, right?
I did not do the shark on him. So he got that shark done while he was, I think, in New Orleans, maybe.
Okay.
While he was filming The Dirt. So he was like either in New Orleans or somewhere in the South. I know that much about it.
Okay.
And
That was a cover up, right? Or was it just dark?
So yes, it was a cover up, and then after that, I like reworked it.
Okay.
And
So you did touch it.
I did touch
That's
it.
why I thought
I
you
did touch
Okay.
it. Yeah. Trying to make it look better, but it was one of those that I was like, "Ooh, bro, like why'd you do that?" I was like, "Why'd you do that, bro?"
Yeah, but man, he has a lot of tattoos. That must have been a major undertaking, like lasering them all off. Like
It's been a while though.
years,
I remember,
right?
Yeah, I remember hearing like 2 or 3 years ago that he started the whole.
They
process.
started the laser stuff.
Like, how long was your process for your arm? Like a year, like at least, or
I'd say like 2 years.
yeah,
I would say
Wow.
about 2 years to get my arm to look clean.
That's crazy. Yeah, I've never had a laser. I've never had a laser removal.
I'd love to know how often he would go get lasered. That would be something I would like to know.
If it was as often as he was getting tattooed, I'd say every couple of days.
It'd be every couple of days.
Yeah.
Different body parts.
Different body
Like,
parts. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
go in, get a little pop, 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 pop here, come back 3 days later over here. Pop, 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 pop. Just because he had so many,
Yeah.
So weird. And was he going to a place or did the place go to him? Is that a thing you can even do with a laser? Like,
I don't know, but I mean, like,
Mobile.
it makes you wonder, like, if people get addicted to tattoos, can people get addicted to getting lasered? Right? They're like,
Maybe.
ooh, I love to watch them disappear. It's amazing.
does it laser off your body hair?
No,
Okay, that's like a different
doesn't.
kind of laser.
it's a different.
Okay.
So like, it's like,
I vaguely remember hearing something about the hair could affect it in some way, or maybe I'm making that up.
my hair grew back.
It grew back.
Yeah, my hair all grew back. Like, and even like when they did it, like I didn't see my hair like just like fall off or disappear or anything.
Oh, you know what I'm thinking of? The way that the lasers affect the color, like you have to set the laser to whatever color it is. I'm confusing so much things right now. the guy who taught me how to tattoo, he wanted to get his beard lasered. And the laser tech told him because it was gray, the laser wouldn't hit it.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. He would have to do like wait, he wanted to like laser, he went clean shaven forever?
He wanted laser hair removal on his face. Yeah.
Oh, he wanted a baby face.
He just didn't want to shave anymore. Yeah.
His baby face for life.
Yeah, 'cause I know like the laser, right? Doesn't it like not pick up like yellows and shit like that easily? It's like
Certain tones.
certain
yeah.
colors. It's like, yeah, that's interesting.
So this is why I thought that maybe some of Pete's stuff was makeup and not completely removed, because my client Caitlin, who I just did that big black swan on, she's been getting lasered for a long time, all over. She's got when I first met her, she had a tattoo on her inner arm that she started getting lasered. This was 10 years ago,
Oh, wow.
and it's still there.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
And what I just covered, she got lasered a bunch of times, and there was a lot left.
damn, we would love to know what colors those were in there, because goddamn, they beat the laser.
Seriously.
So what was left? So she had, I don't know what kind of flowers they were, but she had a bunch of flowers on her side, on her hip, and all of the green and all the yellow was pretty much still there. And then on her inner arm, I think there were more flowers and butterflies, and like the butterfly was blue. The blue was like very much still there.
Interesting.
I think some of the pink of the flower is still there too.
Maybe she needs to go to a different laser, because I know the different lasers pick up like different frequencies of color or something like that, like a lot better than others. So I know there was like the Rev Light, the Pico Sure. There was
Pico
like
Sure, that's the one I hear is like the
so
good
many
one, right?
different ones, you know, and they'll do like the breaking up of the pigment in different ways. The Pico Sure is supposed to do something where like it shoots, but it's like different rounds, right? So like it's shooting the laser and that hits, and then it goes boom, brrr, and it like, and you see it, like you see it go like like that, and kind of just spreads out.
Somebody
Looks
just
super
messaged us
crazy.
not that long ago who does this, and he wanted to come onto the show. And
Yes, Tim.
What?
I
No,
know.
not Tim.
Not Tim?
That would be great to have Tim on here, but
Yeah.
it wasn't Tim. It wasn't Tim who messaged us.
Oh shit! Then I gotta send him a message.
Yeah, let's get Tim on here.
Yeah, let's get Tim in here.
How long have we been going? I feel like it's been a while, right?
It's been a minute, but you know over there.
No, because this restarted. This is 49 minutes, so
Oh, I can't press the button.
all right,
Then it'll go.
we're done.
Well, guys, thanks for hanging out with us today. Please, if you love the podcast, make sure that you are liking and just hit the like button. Come on, it takes 2 seconds. It really helps us out. And if you haven't visited our Patreon and go to honesttattooer.com to check out our merch, then you're fucking up. Come in. If you want to support the podcast, that means a lot to us, and we appreciate you always tuning in and hanging out with us every week.
I got to do a big shout out because the ultimate support for the show right now, we just got a new intern. Our Honest Tattooer family grew, and we had a guy of the name Wes who messaged us, and he's like, "Hey man, I really love the show, and I just want to help out." So Wes is going to be helping with editing and doing some research and kind of just making our lives a little bit easier.
Incredible.
And man, so thank you. And you know, we ask people to help support the show.
Yeah.
This is like the ultimate way to
Ultimate way to
So
help
thank you
out.
very
So
much,
thank you
Wes.
so much, Wes,
Appreciate
for
it.
being part. And
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
It's been
Is there anything
fun.
else you want to add before we go?
No, just, support the podcast. Everybody should.
thank you.
Where could they
Leave nice comments.
where could they go see your work and check you out?
My shop in New Jersey is called homesweethometattoo.com. And I'm at Magie Serpica Tattoo on Instagram, and I spell Maggie with 1 G.
All right. Very nice.
All right. Thank you
Check
so
out
much,
Maggie's
Maggie,
work.
for coming out.
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys. See you next week. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace.